So let's start at the very beginning. So most humans walking around this planet would assume that they are somebody, that there's somebody inside this body and there's somebody that exists in time. So most people would imagine that they're the body, the physical body, that they're their past actions, their future actions, what they own, what they believe, their memories, their environment, so British or French or African, their financial status, their job, their career. So I'm a lawyer, I am a teacher, I am a philosopher, I am a writer, I am healthy, so also the health of the body. So normally most people think and claim to be these dynamics that are moving in time. And when I say moving in time, I mean something that you can think about, something that you can imagine. It's not something that's right here. So you being a lawyer, or you being French, or you being a nice person, say, isn't something that's right here. It's something that you can imagine right here, but it's not actually something that's happening. Even the idea that you're white-skinned, in a way, it's only happening here if you're looking in a mirror or you're looking down at your skin. But even that, it's still something you're thinking about. Like, it's still something that's moving. It's not directly here. It's not like right here. It's something that's moving. I have white skin, and then there's an image of your body and then an idea of it. But if we just go to more, what's that word? More, less intimate objects. I can't think of the right sentence there. Like less intimate objects, as in your career. So say if you think that you are a lawyer, so that might be a job that the body does, but it's not actually here. It's not who you are now. Even though if you think about the law, like imaginations and thoughts and in-depth knowledge can arise about the law, it's not actually happening here. That's not who you are. You're not also an age. So say you're like, yes, I'm 52 and I'm sitting on a chair, I'm 52 and I'm pretty hot at 52. That's not actually who you are. That's a thought arising. It's not fact. That's not right here. Maybe you might think it's fact, but then we can look at what fact and fiction is. But it's not absolute. It's not, there isn't a 52-year-old looking out through this body. There is what is, which is unnameable, which is undescribable. So, and what do I mean by what is? I mean this, what's happening. What's happening isn't actually something you can think about. What's happening is here, it's now. And then you can think, you can remove yourself about what's happening, or you can think I'm a lawyer, or you can think I'm a good person, a nice person. It's not actually something that's happening now. Like when I say it's not a fact that you're a lawyer, you might be a lawyer when you're in the office and you're like giving consultations. So there might be the action of being a lawyer, but it's not actually a fact that's happening now. There's no like stamp on you that's like, you're a lawyer, you're a good person. There is just this. And if you bumped your head, you might forget that you practiced being a lawyer, and you might forget all the knowledge that you had. But yet there's still presence, there's still this awakeness, there's still consciousness of what's happening. So you being an object, you being something isn't an actual fact, isn't actually true right now. It might be something we can describe the body does, but it's not who you are. That's not a fact that you are a lawyer. Who are you? And that's a really profound question. Who are you? So who sits here now? The assumption always is something that you can describe or think about. And this is the dilemma of the human being, is that they always think who they are is a thought. So the idea that you're a body is a thought, the idea that you're nice is a thought, the idea that you're a lawyer is a thought, the idea that you're Canadian is a thought, the idea that you're tall is a thought, the idea that you're slim is a thought, the idea that you have incredibly big feet is a thought, the idea that you like lemon juice is a thought. So they're all thoughts that come and go, and they're dependent on complex thinking. They're dependent on you having a memory and certain areas of your brain working. But if you forget language, or if you have a bump on the head, or when you get older, you begin to forget these things, but yet there is still experiencing happening. So who's actually experiencing? What happens in humanity is that we clump, like consciousness, the experiencer, who you truly are, with labels of who you are. Labels and titles of who I am. I am a lawyer. And that's not your essence. When you were born, you didn't have a stamp on you that's like lawyer. You didn't have a stamp on you that told you what nationality you were. You were simply free. You didn't even have a stamp on you that told you what color you were. You just were. You didn't know what you were. There was just aliveness. You didn't even know you were inside a body. You didn't even have a functioning memory that was working properly and memorizing those infant years. But in the moment of it, there was experiencing happening. And then your memory begins to kick in maybe 2 or 3 years old. So some people say they can remember like when they were 1 year old, but most people can start remembering like 2, 3, 4 years old. And in those memories, you weren't any titles. Like you responded to your name, you recognized your name, but it was all abstract. You weren't fixed in thought. This might sound really complicated to some people, but maybe my audience is quite selective in the people that actually listen to me, because I don't normally do the beginnings of non-duality. I just really hit with like hard non-duality. But I know this is so this will sound really like profound or shocking for a lot of people that are listening, but some people don't even realize they're thinking. So when I did this carers group, I've told this story quite a few times on here. I did this carers group. My mum used to be a governor for the NHS, and she ran a carers group, and she invited me to give a talk on mindfulness, really. And when I was giving the talk, the audience began to get really angry with me because I said, because they were telling me about like angry things that happened from the NHS. The NHS is the government healthcare system. So they were saying like injustices. And I was trying to explain to them that that was their perception, that was their thought about the situation. And they got so livid, like really furious with me, because they couldn't perceive that their annoyance with the government healthcare system was a thought and a feeling arising. To them, it was just the way it is. There was no question about them being wrong. It was like a fact. It was a fact that the sky was blue. It was a fact that the NHS is a bad system and had done something terrible to them. And it wasn't like they could be objective and look and say, this is my thought and this is my opinion. They just thought that's the way it was. They couldn't perceive in any other way. And that to me was shocking, because I got into the subject so young. Like I started asking questions in my teens, and then got into spirituality in my late teens, early 20s. But even before that, I'd begun to recognize that I had thoughts and I had opinions on things, and it didn't mean that that was the thing, the object, the way stuff was. So even here now, like the idea that this is a keyboard is simply an idea. Like this is what non-duality does, is it breaks down the thinking mind, and the thinking mind is what creates dualism, which is what creates separation. And it breaks down our predisposition as to what we believe this world is, and what's happening. And you begin to see that things aren't the way you think they are. Life isn't the way you think it is. And that our thinking limits us. Like it's a limitation, our thinking. Like our thinking is quite magical. I do, like I've spoken many times before, I do have a strong, it's not a belief, but I do feel like life works in this dynamic, or this, I don't know what to call it, story or belief of law of attraction. So if you think lots of things, then that will become your reality. If you feel lots of things, that will become your reality. And and we're not even aware on the human level that we are thinking and that we're creating our own realities. But the question is who's creating your own reality, because who is you? And that's where the next part of the talk was what you want, which to me is law of attraction versus not duality, and how they fit together.